My name is Martha. I am 26 years old, and I still live with my parents. We are a small family, just the three of us. My father drove a taxi to keep us fed. My mother kept our home warm and full of love. We never had much, but we had each other. That was always enough. My parents raised me with one simple belief: work hard, study hard, and build a better life. So that is exactly what I tried to do. When I got my first real job at a company, I felt proud. It was not a big position, but it was mine. That is where I met Chester. He was 29, tall, confident, and easy to laugh with. He helped me settle in at work, remembered the small things I mentioned, and made me feel like I mattered. My mother had always warned me not to trust people too quickly, and at first, I listened. I kept my distance. But Chester was patient. He never pushed. He simply stayed close, quietly, until my walls came down. After 2 months, we started dating. I felt like the happiest woman alive. One evening, we walked together through a park, and he held my hand and said, "Martha, I will always protect you. I will never hurt you." I believed him completely. I believed every single word. For a while, things were beautiful. He brought me flowers, took me out to eat, and told me he loved me. I began to imagine a future with him, a home, a family, a life built together. But slowly, without me fully noticing, things began to shift. He started asking where I was going and who I was speaking to. He wanted to know why I did not answer his calls immediately. At first, I told myself it was just love, that he cared too deeply. I made excuses for him in my own heart. But then one evening I came home after spending time with old college friends, and I found Chester standing near my front door. His face was tight with anger. When I explained I had been with friends, he raised his voice at me for the first time. I stood there, stunned and hurt. But I forgave him. I thought maybe he had simply been worried. I was wrong. As the weeks passed, Chester became someone I barely recognized. He told me to stop speaking with my male friends. He pressured me to leave my part-time job because he did not want me around other people. My heart kept whispering that something was deeply wrong. But my mind kept defending him. I told myself that love just looked like this sometimes. Then came the dinner that changed everything. I wore my nicest dress, hoping the evening might bring us back to something softer. But halfway through the meal, Chester looked at me and said, "You will move in with me from now on. I do not want you living with your family anymore." I was stunned. I told him quietly that I was not ready, that my family needed me, and my studies were not finished. His face darkened. He grabbed my wrist across the table and said through clenched teeth, "If you don't listen to me, you will regret it." I drove home in silence, my eyes burning. My mother saw my face the moment I walked through the door and asked what was wrong. I told her nothing. I was ashamed. I thought somehow that I must have done something to cause his anger. So I stayed quiet, and I stayed with him. But Chester's anger only grew louder. He followed me everywhere. He shouted at me in front of my friends. He sent me wave after wave of messages if I did not reply fast enough. I felt like a bird locked inside a small, dark cage. I wanted to leave, but every time I tried, he would break down in tears and say, "I cannot live without you, Martha. Please do not go." And so I stayed, because I still loved him. Or perhaps I loved the idea of the person I had believed he was at the beginning. Then came the night that finally broke everything open. Chester arrived at our house drunk. He pounded on the front door until my father opened it. Then he stood there and shouted, "Martha belongs to me." When my father stepped forward to push him back, Chester hit him. I screamed. Neighbors came running. Chester eventually left, stumbling into the dark. But when I looked at my father standing there, bleeding, because of a man I had brought into our lives, something inside me shattered and then hardened all at once. Chester was not love. He was poison. He did not want to care for me. He wanted to own me. And if I did not stop it now, he would not just destroy me. He would destroy my family too. The next morning, I made my decision. I blocked his number. I deleted every photo. I sat down with my parents and told them everything. Every threat, every moment of fear, every excuse I had made for him. My mother held me and cried, without saying a word. My father looked at me with tired, gentle eyes and said, "You are not alone, Martha. We are with you." But leaving him did not mean the fear left with him. For weeks, I would hear footsteps outside at night and lie still, wondering if it was Chester. Unknown numbers on my phone made my chest tighten. Sleep did not come easily. Healing, I learned, is not something that happens all at once. It comes in small, quiet pieces. I found a part-time job at a little gift shop. The people there were warm and kind. They never asked about my past or looked at me with pity. I felt, for the first time in a long time, genuinely safe. Slowly, very slowly, I began to breathe again. Sometimes, late at night, I still ask myself whether Chester ever truly loved me. I do not have a clean answer, but I have learnt something that I will carry for the rest of my life. Real love does not grip your wrist in anger. Real love does not make you feel small or trapped or afraid. Real love does not arrive at your door drunk, shouting that you belong to someone like a possession with no voice of its own. I do not dream about a perfect romance anymore. I dream about peace. I want mornings without dread, and evenings without checking over my shoulder. I want a life that is quiet and honest and mine, and I know now, with a certainty that lives deep in my bones, that if someone ever makes you feel frightened, that is not love. That is a warning, and you must listen to it, even when your heart makes it hard. Walk away, because you deserve someone who makes you feel safe, not someone who makes you feel like you are always one wrong move away from pain. That is the most important thing I have ever learned, and I hope you never have to learn it the way I did.